Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Good day, good evening, good night to whoever is watching us. I am Reverend Lydia Fouzer. I am a Reverend in Metaphysics and world-known author for my 2-volume book, 111 Reflection for Thy Earth Odyssey, available on Amazon. Today, our show will be on how to grow in adversity through life's tests. So it is a show that I did last week in French. So I am also a spiritual teacher who works on personal transformation, introspection, mindfulness, and compassionate self-discovery. I invite my readers to engage in life through curiosity, clarity, and sense of sacred connection. I am inventor of the Miracle Mist, which is a spray that purifies spaces by elevating vibrations. The same principle as purification incense blends, but without the scent. I have programs from my books for my readers and participants to have better spiritual journey. I am also ambassador for equality and country manager for Canada and French countries for USA Global TV and Radio. You can join me at 1-514-582-6882 or at greatdivinemother@gmail.com. It is my pleasure to be with you for this English episode. So, as they say, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. I do believe very much in that, but it does not mean that everyone believes the same thing. This phrase has become some kind of mantra. But if it does not apply to you, how do you react? How do you act? Because the thing is that some people feel guilty if they are not strong in adversity. It is not the way it is all the time for everyone. And people feel they have to be strong in adversity. So it is very complex, and the process is extremely difficult. You have trials that transform you into lessons. So how to grow up through adversity? Growing up through adversity is not simply a game of mental alchemy. It is a path of pain where confusion, sometimes despair, become your companions, and it is normal also. So this is an exploration through images, anecdotes, and psychological insights of what it makes metamorphosis possible. So when you have adversity, it starts by a shock. You are told something and you are in shock. The way you act may be completely different from one person to the other. Some people might be angry. Some people might be depressed. Some people might be stunned and not react at all. So those are the ones of some kind of description that people can react when they are told something, when they have a sudden storm. So let us say you are sitting by a calm lake. Your life goes like a flow. It is calm. You're going through a calm lake. And then all of a sudden, there is a storm. A storm breaks without warning. And then the wind whistles, and there's rain, there's waves, and it's really very difficult to go through the storm. And it threatens to overwhelm the shore. That is the way adversity arises in your life. It is unexpected. It shatters your tranquility and your daily lives. So no matter how you react, your reaction is fine. The thing is that you never should feel guilty about the way you react because everyone is different. Everyone has a different life. And I would like to remind people that when you have adversity, you have to be kind to yourself. You might react very strongly and be angry. By being angry, you have just a reaction. You are not overreacting. You are reacting. That is all. So, what happens is that you have to forgive yourself if you are angry at something that is told to you. So, that is the way it happens. So, it can be either someone's death, it can be either a shock, like you could actually be told that you are ill, you could be told that your spouse was not that good to you and went to see someone else and things like that. So what happens? What happens? Well, you have to be good to yourself because the thing is that we are all different. We all act differently when we are facing adversity. So the initial shock, the storm, is something that happens. Then you could have something like a feeling of injustice. Why me? Well, why not you? So, why not me? Why not you? Why them? So, is it better if it happens to someone else than if it happens to you? So, that is what we have to ask ourselves. Are we better to feel if something happens to someone else than something happens to us? Well, that is the way it is. I am a person that actually, I think it is better that things happen to me than to other people because the thing is that, I can help other people when it happens to other people. So the thing is that when it happens to me, I can actually do something for myself, but I rather help others. That is the way I am. So you might be a person like me. You might be a person that you are better off if it happens to someone else, and then you are helping. But if it happens to you, well, eventually you will cope. You will cope, you will be strong enough, and you will learn. But you will have to go through all kinds of feelings before feeling strong in adversity. So there is the imbalance of body and mind. So if you're facing adversity, the sleep might become fragmented. Let us say you have a bad news. Well, your heart races, huh? It is really difficult. Your thoughts become hazy. You are wondering. You are really wondering, is it real? Is it true? You are wondering. You're surprised. You are stunned. So you need to find an anchor. In the turmoil, we instinctively seek a point of reference, however small it can be. We want to avoid to be swept away by what is happening to us. So we actually want to avoid. So that is the way we want things to go. So we have to find an anchor, as little as a needle if you have to. But the thing is that find an anchor. The shock is a painful experience. I do understand. But we mostly get over it. Most of us get over the initial shock. I do not say that some do not get over the initial shock. Some actually cannot go through a painful experience. But the thing is that most people can. So you have help around. You have people that love you. You look around and you might feel isolated, but when you look around, you have people that love you. They really care for you and they are willing to listen to you. So let us say it is like you are in a play. So become the director of your play. Play different roles, but play them all. Be good at your roles. That is the way you could play your acts. You could be playing the depressed person, and that is fine. And then you could play the angry person, and that is fine. You are the director. So the thing is that you are the director of your play. So then you can be the person that actually wants to understand. So you're trying to make sense of what is going on in your play, and so on and so forth. So you try to make sense in your play of what happens in your life because it is your play. That is the way it is. Then there are trials. Trials, but trials are shaping tools, actually. So you are like a blacksmith that is hammering red hot iron. Life strikes at you. It strikes at your convictions, at its habits, its limitations. But metal doesn't become stronger simply by being struck. It becomes stronger when we can control the heat, the force, and the rhythm of the blow. So that is trial. So that is the way trial happens. That is when you actually are trying to adjust. So What happens is that your trial is the metal that you are trying to forge into victory. So that is what it will reveal, what it can be shaped in. How will you become? How will your piece of iron become? That is the way it is. It can be the loss of a job. It can be the dependence of professional identity. It can be that you have to leave a path that you were fine with, a chronic illness, fragility of the body, aging, self-compassion, learning to listen to your body. It can be a problem with emotional attachment. You lose someone. It can be that. This is the way that happens. You might have the failure of a very dear project. It can be that form. So do not think that your metal is not forging. While you're failing at your project, you are still able to actually do something else, because from failing in that project, you actually have forged something else. That is the way it is happening. You might have the illusion that you lost control completely. But the thing is that you will have to learn humility, adaptability, creativity under conscience. Each fracture reveals the heart of the materials, your values, your fears, your desires. And by observing them, we can choose to let them break us or, on the contrary, polish them. What do you think of making a beautiful sword out of that iron that you, as a blacksmith, have decided to do? So when you have the trial, you decide that you will do something else out of that trial. So think about what you will make out of that trial. So the difference between being a victim and a survival often lies in the suffering and the learning. This subtle linguistic nuance is not insignificant. It reflects a shift in the focus that changes the internal dynamic. So you start by naming the pain that you are going through. You put words. You put words to what hurts. You put words to how you feel. Because when you put words, you actually gain control over the pain. I was explaining last week in French that I have a deck of cards, and this deck of cards actually has 54 cards, but those 54 cards are not playing cards. They describe an emotion. So those are 54 different emotions, and I used them in psychiatry when actually my patients could not find words for how they felt, and they were angry or disappointed or there was odd. So I would take my deck of cards and lay all those cards on the bed, and I would make them choose 10 cards. So they could choose the card being angry, the card being sad, the card being pushed away, whatever card. They had 10 choices. They could choose 10 choices. So they had 10 choices, 10 emotions that they could choose from. So when you have put 10 words on how you feel, already there, you are a little more free. So you have freedom. Then from those 10 emotions, I would go on and ask questions. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about this and that emotion? What makes you feel that emotion? What happens when you feel that emotion? How do you react facing that emotion? So all those questions I would ask, and then I would tell, what do you think is your reaction that should happen now that you know that this is how you feel? So the person would give me answers. I would never give answers because we're not there to give answers. We are there to listen. So the thing is that, I would ask questions and they would answer. I would never give the answer because the thing is that the person knows their answers themselves. So I give answers only when they say this and this and this. And what I would do is that I would just repeat what they had told me to say. Did I hear this well? Is this clear in my head? Is this what you just said? And then the person would just tell me yes or no. And then we would go on with conversation. The thing is that, I would go on with this deck of cards for 1 hour. So the session would be 1 hour. And people would actually feel a lot better when they had words on their emotions. Because the thing is that it makes them feel better. So it's already a step forward in your emotional regulation when you know what you are going through. And there, it also helps you identify the signals. So let's say you're in a suffering act. You have a sudden signal. You have an alarm system. It indicates that need is not being met. So you might not have security. You might not have belonging, recognition. You have to address this need, even symbolically. The feeling of powerlessness has to disappear. So that is very important that you take your power back. You really have to take your power back. You have to seek a meaning to what is going on in your life also. There was Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, who wrote, "Man has a need for meaning at every moment of his life. What lesson can I learn from this experience?" And this opens the door to resilience. Resilience does not happen in one day. People are saying, oh, you will gain wisdom, resilience, so on, so forth. Are they the ones going through the trials you are going through? Absolutely not. So people can say anything. They are not going through the trial you're going through. So the thing is that, when you do not feel you have the power yet, You do not have to make believe you have the power because you are where you are at and not feel, you do not have to feel guilty to feel where you are feeling at. That is all. You do not have to feel strong when you are not strong. That is the way it is. You have to understand that this is not a race. This is something that actually your battle to fight. So people cannot fight your battles. So you take actions, small gestures, even symbolic ones. You can write letters. You don't mail them necessarily. Well, it is better not to mail them. Let us say you do not like someone. Okay? It happens. It even happens to me. So let us say you do not like someone. You can write an entire letter describing why you do not like that person and why that person does not like you. And what you would say to that person in a loving way, by the way, what you would say to that person, and then what do you think that person would say to you? But don't make it a drama, though. And at the end of the letter, you could write, we are both human and we have to forgive one another for whatever feeling we have towards one another. That's it. But you do not mail that naturally. The thing is that you burn it, you burn that letter in a safe way. Outside would be the best way. So if you have a fireplace, good for you. So you do not burn your letters in the house, for God's sake, please. So you do it in the safe way. So, and then you just disperse the ashes in the horizon. So for whatever feeling that you have, you can do a letter. You can do a letter that can help you. You also have support through silence. You have those wonderful listeners. There are wonderful listeners around us. We have our wonderful Dr. Jacalyn that actually teaches to people how to listen. She is amazing. She gives courses about that. And if you want to learn about her courses, you should actually write to us on the station. I would very, very happily give you her coordinates. So you actually could learn to listen. So if you know someone that is sick, you could learn to listen and you could learn through reading Dr. Jacalyn's books or reading my books, 111 Reflection for Thy Earth Odyssey. So you could learn through books, either mine or either Dr. Jacalyn's books. So we have learned wisdom through trials, she and I. So the thing is that it is things that we have learned, that we have worked on to help others. So Dr. Jacalyn and myself, we have learned through trials and errors. So that is the way we are. So then we have social support. So there's solidarity, plus I am here for you. And it releases the stress hormones and promotes neuroplasticity. So you could use actually support groups, mentors, non-judgmental friends that become mirrors and reflect a stronger version of yourself. You can choose inner silence. The need for solitude allows us to listen to the inner voice that often cries out the noise of external opinions. This time of withdrawal, far from being isolation, is a laboratory of introspection where we can test ideas without fear of judgment because it is us alone. The balance between two poles is individual. Some find healing in silence, and some find healing in community. The important thing is to recognize you respect your own rhythm. There is also the power of storytelling. So you can rewrite your whole story, your whole history. You can rewrite that. No problem. You can do that. You have time. You can do that. And, or you can choose, I am the victim of an accident. All is lost. That's the story you can write if you want. But are you going to stay in that story forever? So you are allowed to write that story for a little while. But the important thing is to get out of that story. That's the most important one. The thing is that that story, you should not stick to that story. That is a story that really never ends well. So the thing is that you are better off writing a story where you win. Heroes always win, and heroes do not always wear a cap. Where is your cap? So that is it. So you can say, I weathered the storm, and even the waves knocked me. I learned to swim. That is it. The same event becomes a step on the path of growth, and you rewrite your story. That means you do not deny that you have suffered, but you repositioned yourself. You wrote a new chapter in your book of life. And this technique is a narrative therapy. So it allows you to gain control and write the script of your life again. So some concrete practices for growth in the midst of adversity could be practice. So you practice whatever, a sport, anything, a hobby. You fix yourself an objective. You write yourself an adversity journal. You externalize your emotions and you identify your patterns. Every single day, you write 3 sentences about what happened during the day. How did you feel and how small the lessons were? So you had lessons. How small were they? How big were they? They could be big, it is possible. You breathe consciously. So inhale and exhale. So you fix yourself some micro goals every single day. So sometimes your goal is so micro that people will not even realize you have fixed yourself a goal, but you have fixed yourself a goal. So you reinforce your sense of mastery. You close your eyes, you imagine yourself in another place, you imagine yourself as a winner who overcame the obstacles, and you associate emotions for 1 minute. For that minute, you are allowed to feel associated with your emotions. And you target gratitude. So these small habits, repeated daily, form an emotional safety net that cushions future shocks. So in conclusion, adversity is an invention to reinvent yourself. So thank you very much. And I am Reverend Lydia Fougere, and you can join me in my programs. I am in Canada. My programs are on Zoom. I can help you. I can listen to you. You can be in touch with me. And I am manager for USA Global TV and Radio for Canada and French countries. If you want to have your show here at USA Global TV and Radio, I will be very happy to guide you and make you talk to Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. So thank you very much for watching me. Namaste.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to tracycramperkins.com.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.